Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to part 3 here on the GBYWN Australia podcast with, once again, former WCWA Tag Team Champion, GBYWN Australian Tag Team Champion, XCW Tag Team Champion, XCW TV Television Champion. Even though we weren't on TV.
Yeah.
The one, the only, Blade Shaw.
Oh, man, it's good to be back after that brief intermission.
We got some more beers, and we're talking about your time in WCWA.
Yes.
We will also touch upon some ICWS when the timeline permits it.
Yep.
Okay, so XCW's done.
Yes.
Had you been kind of keeping up to date on what I was doing?
Yeah, somewhat through Facebook. I can't remember exactly when it was, but I remember, eventually watching one of the matches that you'd put up on Facebook on from the YouTube page. I was like, those are pretty cool. I'll check out some more. So I started watching through, a lot of the recaps, seeing what was going on, and then I eventually ended up watching, some of the matches and stuff. I remember having said to you, I was super impressed with the quality of the product. Yeah.
So somehow, some way, you started watching WCWA.
Yep.
I believe when we started talking, you had said, I've seen every match and every recap.
Yeah.
You pretty much were up to date on everything that had happened. So that was exciting for me. I was like, holy shit, he really enjoys it.
Yeah.
So I think my next idea was to just get you to maybe come see a show.
Yeah.
I hadn't even thought of the idea of you coming back.
Yeah.
I guess just because I had maybe just come to the conclusion that, I maybe got John and Nick to come and have one match, but from there, I don't think any of the other guys would be keen. Bonner was certainly not going to. Chris is definitely a no-no. Mike definitely said no.
Yeah.
So eventually, as I said on my very first podcast, but I'm repeating it because fuck it. I was laying in bed. Girlfriend was asleep, I was wide awake, and I was thinking about Hard Time 3 and a way to finish Hard Time 3 in a controversial fashion.
Yeah.
So I'd already come up with the Rex Regan takes Dark Ice from the match, and they brawled backstage, leaving me and Dan Zeppelin out there against Alex.
Yeah.
And I just thought to myself, it's just like a light bulb above my head. Ding! All of a sudden I'm like, holy shit, Blade's been watching WCWA. If he doesn't want to wrestle, he could still be security or something.
Yeah.
He could still be the bodyguard.
Yeah.
Why not have Blade fucking come out, wipe him out with the chair, put Dan on top, just have a chance Dan was in the ring and not me.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3. Take off the jacket, EA symbol on your shirt. Oh man, I was pumped. So, take us through the initial pitch when I pitch it to you, this idea of you to return to backyard wrestling after a long 4-year absence.
So it's funny because you'd think that the story would go in such a way that it'd be a bit of back and forth, and then be you'd pitch it to me and I'd be like, yeah, maybe, but I don't know, blah, blah, blah. But as soon as you talked to me, I was like, yeah, I'm cool. I'm down.
Why did you never come to me and say, hey man, I'd like to do it?
I suppose because I never really thought about it,
you just thought, this is just cool that Chase is doing now.
Yeah, pretty much. I was like, this is awesome, but I don't know if it's really for me. But
whole new group of people to get to know, and
I'd been through this before, so I was kind of I don't know, not really sure. But then as soon as you talked to me about it and the ideas you had, I was like, yeah, I'm pretty sold. And I remember telling you specifically because you kind of asked me what I wanted to do. And I was like, I want to join the EA. I knew that was what I wanted to do.
And yeah, I think you, as soon as I pitched my idea, as soon as you saw the words Lead Alliance, doesn't matter, that's the hottest thing going right now. I want to hop on that bandwagon.
Yeah, it just, having watched, the product on YouTube and stuff, and having seen, I guess, the evolution of the EA, I was like, I want to be involved in that.
Excellent. So can you tell that I'm trying XWA again, but trying to do it the right way this time?
I remember I said to you, I'm like, when I was looking and watching through the recaps and the matches, I'm like, the Elite Alliance, to me, represents a more mature booking style from you of the XWA.
Yeah.
I think it's very true.
One thing, as soon as I took over, was like, XWA was one of the best things that I booked in XCW, but I want to do it again, but do it way better than I did before. And I think with the talent and the fact we've got a ring, the talent that we're on offer, not only that I could put in the Elite Alliance, but also be against us, it would just make it way bigger than XWA ever was. Even though Bonner seems to believe that XWA is the greatest stable there ever was, I don't see it the same way. I do think Elite Alliance was huge, for its time anyway. So talk a little bit about, when you're watching WCWA, who are some of your favourites? Aside from...
Yeah, obviously. I watched...
From, me, of course.
Was it 15, 16-time heavyweight champion? 11 times.
That's okay. Ric Flair.
Yeah, sorry. And
I'm in the same,
echelon
of a legend as him, but haven't won as many titles. But, hey, I'm only 28.
That's true. There's still a lot of go in this old horse.
So anyway, who are some of your favourites?
My favourites, okay. Well, obviously, besides you, Alex Stone.
Yeah.
I watched a lot of his matches. I think a lot of that was because of his partnership with you as well. But, he obviously entertaining as fuck. And I don't know, he just had that cool style. He reminds me, and I'm sure he'll probably love this, of Chris Jericho in a lot of ways.
I think Jericho's his favourite.
Yeah. So. And you can tell, just by the way he wrestles, the way he moves, the way his character and kind of personality comes across.
Heck of a heel.
Yeah, very Jericho-esque.
Yeah. Solid wrestler too.
Yeah. I love the partnership between you two guys. I think that, and coming into the Elite Alliance thing, that played out really well. Watched a couple of matches with Mitch and Three Dog, especially when they were doing the Legion thing. I really enjoyed that. I pretty much watched most of the guys. I think pretty much, with the exception of very few people, there is some amazing talent, that is on that roster. The franchise, I think they're the best tag team in WA yachting history, period. Rebellion, Low, Antilicus, very talented, very entertaining. There's
Can you imagine me taking over the booking of this Fed and rubbing my hands together?
Yeah, I know,
Look at all the fucking talent I can use here.
It's like a booker's wet dream.
Oh man, it was amazing taking over.
And it goes to prove that there's such an evolution that occurred in the scene of backyard wrestling in WA. It's just completely different to XCW. You can't even compare them.
To even think, when we were doing XCW, we were pretty much the only game in town. There were a few other little backyard feds here and there, but they didn't really last the test of time.
Yeah.
But then you wouldn't even fathom during XCW's heyday that all these years later there'd be all these extremely talented guys with passion and all these people. You wouldn't think that there would be a huge roster of people that we didn't even know. Yeah. Or people at the time when we were doing it, they were still, wearing nappies and shit.
And the most interesting part is, I remember, I think I talked to you about it in the first part, you got that XCW, upper echelon core of, you and John and Bonner. The main event picture, in a lot of ways, revolved around you guys for quite a long time. You look at WCWA, and my God, how many guys could you have in the main event picture at any time?
Yeah.
It's,
anyone is worthy of being in the main event.
Yeah, exactly. It's just so interchangeable, and it makes it incredibly interesting because at any point, any one of these young guys can step up and take over.
Yeah, if say Antilicus is the man right now. Say whoever he's feuding with, say Rex Regan, he's having a feud with him now. Say Rex can no longer wrestle anymore.
Yeah.
Well, I can just throw anyone else in there that I like, and it will still be great because I've got another guy ready for the main event, like Rex Regan is right now.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's get to it. Hard time 3.
Okay.
So you rock up on the day.
Yep.
You make sure you're wearing your glasses and you're wearing a nice little comfortable jumper, and you don't look like you're going to get involved. I just let everyone know, this is Blade. He used to be an XCW. He's just coming to watch. He's a bit of a fan.
Yeah.
So the time comes. You're waiting backstage.
Yeah.
You're ready for this moment. You change into your leather jacket.
Yeah.
What's running through your head?
Holy shit, what is going on? At the show, like talking to everyone, and you and me are pulling the wool over everyone's eyes. I remember you saying to me specifically in front of the guys, like, "Oh, what do you think about one last match?" I'm like, "Nah, man, not interested." Like,
yeah,
I just want to watch. Yeah. And then Ryan comes up to me and he's like, "Hey man, I got your T-shirt. Like, you're all sorted." So he gives me the shirt, and I go into the bathroom there, and I change into it, and I'm like, "Holy shit, I'm actually like doing this."
Yeah.
Again, like 5 years later, after I'd stopped doing this, 4 years, I'm doing this again.
Was there anyone backstage that had seen you in your jacket or anything?
Nah.
Or was it just you?
Yeah, I was just standing up there, which was...
Did I have Luke on music?
Perfect. Yes, I think so.
He would have been the only person I told about it.
Yeah, and so, that's right, I was standing there with Chris, because Rex was running out to take out Dark Ice, as we talked about before.
Mm-hmm.
So he goes out and does his thing, and then I'm kind of just like lurking around, and then obviously after he leaves, I come out like very shortly after
the
that.
theme song hits, and
yeah.
no one knows what's good. No one knows what theme song this is.
Yeah,
I've never heard it before.
Yeah, and then out comes me, like charging out in my leather jacket and sunglasses. Everyone's like, "What the fuck?" And like only about a few guys in the audience actually know who I am, so you can hear in the recap, everyone's like, "Who the fuck's that?" And there's a couple of guys like, "Oh, that's Blade Shaw." Like, what the fuck?
But people still don't know your intentions until you
so they don't know what I'm doing. So I storm out, I climb into the ring, lean down, pick up the chair, and
great chair shot.
Yeah, belt Alex like full on, and lay him out, and I drop the chair, got my arms raised, I pull down zip down my hoodie and like rip open the thing, and
jacket,
there's the EA.
And then the way that you sell that, when you unzip the jacket and you go, yeah, like that, I get like goosebumps. It's such a great moment,
Yeah, and it's amazing, like in hindsight, like all the kind of like I drop Dan on him, and then like there's the count, and he wins, and then I help you into the ring, and you're like, yes, we did it, and then
we did it.
Yeah, like it was so awesome. Like, it was such a cool moment.
And I've got to say that, if you look back on WCW's time, whenever it ends, that will be one of the iconic moments.
Yeah, and it's funny, like, I remember Jack was supposed to be putting together this, like, top holy shit moments of, like, 2014 package, and me debuting was, like, one of the front runners for, like, the top moments. And that was awesome, because that was the show that, like, Nick Ariel debuted full time,
which I will get to.
Just skip ahead.
But I also love that graphic of us, and the reaction that we're getting reminds me of when XWA reformed.
Yeah,
that hush. There's like a hush over everyone, and everyone is taking in this moment, and there's an atmosphere about what's taking place.
Yeah,
where it feels like this is a big moment.
Yeah.
So you got me, Acid, Dan, Alice, Lila, Ryan, and you in the ring raising each other's arms.
Yeah.
And that is just like, that's our epic NWO moment.
Yeah.
Right there. Like, we got one over the WCWA, we brought in the insurance policy.
Yeah. And I think the best thing about this, by far, is we get out of the ring and we're posing for the cameras, and like, I got my arm around you, and there's the photo that's taken, and you can hear, I think, Monet in the background go, "This is fucked." Like, that's the end sentence of the video, and it just puts the icing on the cake for that entire thing.
It's like, what are we gonna do to battle this now? Holy fuck. Alright, so during the day, in one fell sweep, all of a sudden, I got 3 XCW guys now, me, you, and Nick Ariel.
Yeah.
So during the show, finally, a few weeks beforehand, I'm having beers with Nick at the pub, and he's like, "I'm ready. I wanna come in and have a feud with the guy with the curly hair and the guy with the long blonde hair." Can't remember anyone's names ever. And I'm like, oh, what you mean the Rebellion? He's like, yeah, them, I want to wrestle them. I'm like, okay, alright. So he makes his debut.
Yeah.
You're witnessing this for the first time. I don't know if I made you...
No, you hadn't told me about this.
No, I hadn't made you
so
privy
I wasn't privy to it.
Excellent. Well, you're watching Ariel come out and you're like, fuck, same show I'm doing.
Yeah, exactly. It's just insane that we would both return at the same show. And not only that, but I was like, oh man, like, kind of, I feel like it would have overshadowed my return by like, oh, Nick's returning. And they're aware of who he is because he's wrestled like previously.
Yeah.
So everyone's like, holy shit, like Nick returned. But it didn't end up being like that. It was almost the opposite, where people were like, oh, it's cool to see Ariel, but holy shit, there's other guys.
It's like in one fell swoop, we got 2 new names in the roster, 2 big names on the roster.
Yeah.
So it really makes a shift of power as far as how things are going to go in WCWA in the future.
Yeah.
So after this, we have the hangout we've been waiting for years.
Yeah.
We hung out a couple times here and there, but we finally hung out and watched all your old XCW matches. So, your thoughts on that lovely day of just drinking so much alcohol?
I remember we get started super early and we're watching the matches and then we're like, oh man, we should invite some of the other guys to hang out. So like 3 Dog, Ice, and Dan Zeppelin rock up. And we're hanging out with them. And it was really awesome. It was like the first initiation moment I'd been looking for into WCWA.
Chance to get to know the guys a little bit better.
Yeah, exactly. And who better than Ice and DZ and stuff big power players.
Yeah. But by the time they got there, oh man, I was so drunk at that point. And, but it was still really fun, and it was the opportunity for you to see all your old matches again.
Yeah.
And talk about old times, and then we have a bit of a discussion because you suddenly bring up the idea, you just want to ask me, pick my brain about how booking works.
Yeah.
So I kind of gave you my concepts on how I feel booking works and what you do in this situation or what you do in that situation or how you would have a character react to this situation and stuff like that. And from there, it planted a seed in the back of my head. And I thought to myself, maybe Blade could be like a bit of a protege for me for booking, and I could teach him a thing or two because he seems interested in it. And so I decided to keep this a bit hush-hush, but, the idea was for you, you debuted, but, going forward, you would actually be, helping out creatively.
Yeah.
So when I finally asked you if you want to do this, because I'd already been hanging out with Ryan a lot.
Yeah.
And, he had pretty good ideas as well, and he's an encyclopedia, so he remembers everything.
Yeah.
So he's helpful. You're keen.
Yeah.
Monet's the media guy, and he's got good ideas, and he's also, that WCWA original that you need in a booking committee, so it doesn't look like it's just me picking my buddies. I'm just, I'm picking everyone that I think will contribute, in the best way. And to have the media guy, he has to be involved because the vision that we're trying to take on certain things, we need him to know.
Yeah, absolutely.
But anyway, your thoughts on me bringing up the idea of being part of a committee?
I was fully on board. As soon as I got into WCWA, I was like, why the fuck wasn't I doing this, earlier? Like you said, why had I never asked? It just never had occurred. So I was, super invested, and, I remember, we had that chat about booking, and, for me, I study, I've just finished studying journalism and PR as, my, future profession, so I'm a very, curious, insightful person by nature, I guess. So I see wrestling, I think, differently than maybe other people see it. A lot of other people see it. So I was keen to add my ideas and thoughts.
And I needed it. I needed help because at that stage, now the roster's blown up.
Yeah.
At one stage, 28 guys.
Yeah.
So.
And I remember you had told me a few of your ideas when we were chatting, and I was like, oh, that sounds cool. Maybe you should do this. And I know you've referenced it before, but, I kind of seem to be, the tweaker. I maybe don't add as many ideas as the other guys, but I make the ideas better.
Maybe you don't come to me with a full idea on a storyline between this guy and this guy, but I'll pitch the idea and then you'll be like, what if we did this at this point instead?
Yeah.
So that's where you've come in and helped out quite a bit.
Yeah.
You're all about the details.
Exactly.
And I think the booking committee thing's been very successful so far. I think we've been a little bit lazy lately on the whole agenting certain matches. At first we were really, all right, you're in charge of this match, you let these guys know what's happening, because it's all about not only just helping me out with ideas, but also running the show, because I used to just get pissed off all the time.
Yeah.
Just constantly, because I was just so stressed out with I've got to get out of my seat again to make sure these guys know what they're doing and all that. So it's been very handy. Were you ever worried about any backlash from anyone about?
I think, there was a part of me that was worried about how people would perceive it, especially because, we're friends, we've known each other for so long. People be like, oh, Carl's just bringing in one of his mates to kind of decide what's going on. But I think very quickly people realized that wasn't the case. I'm not a self-interested person. And if you listen to any of the podcasts that have gone up so far, everybody always says the same thing about me. They're like, Blade, he's such a nice guy. And I'm just there to have fun and help people out. I'm past that point now where it's for me, I still like taking it seriously, but there is some immense talent, and I would rather help them develop, where they need to go and where they want to be. I think our product speaks for itself. Yeah.
I still stand by the fact that I think right now, right at this point, our product is better than any of the pro products.
Yeah.
I think with the storylines that we've got going on now and all the angles we're headed towards with everyone's got a direction on the roster. We've got a lot of people on the roster. We're doing a better job than any of the pro feds out there. And I'm including EPW in that. I'm sorry. I love them. Great shows. But there are a lot of cold matches where there's no real storyline going on, and they have angles that last 2 shows just so they can do this stipulation for this match with these 2 guys.
Yeah.
It's it doesn't, a lot of things don't mean anything, and when these things end, it never did anything for both of them, where they're moving on into different directions moving forward,
Yeah.
Those are just some, complaints I have about Perth Pro Wrestling. Is a lot of people, and this isn't about EPW, but a lot of the other feds, they think anyone can book.
Yeah.
But not anyone can book, It's really is about the details and making sure everyone's got something interesting to do, and that their characters are moving forward and evolving every single show.
And that's the thing you got to remember about backyard wrestling as well, is that not only are we trying to get people interested online, but we have to try and make sure that the people that are coming are entertained. And the people that are coming are mostly wrestlers as well. So you have to keep your friends entertained, which people would think is easy, but it really isn't.
Yeah.
To get legitimate heat or a legitimate pop out of your friends is actually really fucking difficult. Because they're just, they're always going to be indifferent or apathetic.
Or they're going to just cheer because this person's character is a good guy.
Yeah.
And boo because this guy's a bad guy.
Yeah.
Whereas sometimes you actually do get legitimate reactions out of them, and that's quite a task in itself.
Exactly, and I think, it was I remember you telling me about how Delcano had said that he was sick of the Elite Alliance. Watching us had made him sick. And to us, we were talking about the booking committee, we thought that was amazing. That was what we had wanted.
Yeah.
Because we wanted people to be sick of us, to feel ill that the Elite Alliance was just, out of control.
Once again,
Yeah.
That's exactly what the plan was, and I'm not going to lie, we all probably were getting sick of it by the end of it. I mean, I was getting bored of the same fucking promo and the same things happening, and
we'd come down and beat down on
Yeah, it's just we've done it so many times all year, or for the last 2.5 years, it's been the same thing, So yeah, I mean, we also knew that it was grinding our own gears, but that was what we just had to go through in order to portray the group the way that we wanted it to be.
Yeah.
And for everyone to be sick of it, so when it finally is all over, then that's the payoff,
And that, I mean, going back to the point that I wanted to make was that And now you see why people can't book for the pro feds, because it's like, if you have no basis, to book in backyard, I think, is incredibly difficult. And so I find it funny that the people that are in the pro feds in Perth, like, you know, they get given the keys to the kingdom and they just completely shit the bed, because, like, I think it would be much easier to book for a pro fed. Like, if you were booking for a pro fed, you would have clean slates with people who paid to legitimately come and see people that they did not know from a bar or so.
And plus, each show is guaranteed only 7 or 8 matches.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm booking shows with 11 or 12 matches.
Yeah.
It would be so. I mean, I'm not saying that it's going to be. It's so easy. I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
But it would be, for me, it would be a delight. You know, it'll be a delight to have a show that's only going to last 3 hours.
Yeah.
As opposed to, you know, a 6-hour show.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And, you know, the people that are showing up there are actually trained professionals, and so there's an air of professionalism rather than chasing after teenagers who can't be fucked showing up. Like, it's...
Yeah. And I just think some of the pro feds just... They don't really have a vision sometimes. I think EPW have a vision. They know where they're headed with things. They always look ahead.
Yeah.
And I think that's a lot of problems with some of the pro feds, especially the ones that I wrestled for. They didn't know what they were doing from month to month. And that used to drive me fucking crazy. I mean, you can think about when I was in AAW.
Yeah.
And I'm doing WCWA shows, and I already know the main event of Resolution. I already know the main event of the show beforehand. I know what's happening months down the line.
Yeah.
Whereas with them, it was like, oh, they'll release the cards for the next 3 months, but then when we get to the second show after that, the card is completely different from what it was when we got given it the first month.
Yeah.
So it's like, so then by the time we get to that third month, everything's different again because of things changing again. It was just like, it was a nightmare watching them try and book and think that they knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
And then to have a performer like me and not do anything with me blew my mind.
Which is funny because, yeah, I'll come out on record in case there is any of the pros in Perth listening to
They're
this
never
podcast.
going to listen to it.
Yeah, I know
Doesn't
they
matter.
probably won't, but whatever, fuck them. I've never been to one of your shows. I've never been to a Schwa, EPW.
Well, you should go to
an
EPW.
HPW show.
EPW is pretty good fun.
But the reason why I feel like I've never gone is because, A, I look at the product and think, wow, it's just, you can tell it's amateur. Like, it's not WWE, it's not any of like the big feds in the US or Japan. So there's that aspect. And then on top of that, like, what draw is there? There's no draw. Like, I don't never hear like, oh man, like Devon Storm versus like, you know, whoever, like Mike Massive, for example. I know that's probably not a good example, but whatever. Like, I never hear any hype or buzz around like the wrestling scene in Perth. I know it's there, but I'm not interested.
Yeah, you never hear that buzz about a certain thing. Oh, like this. Like, I think with EPW, when they had like the Riot Den match, I've never seen what it is, but it was there was a buzz about that. Like, what is a Riot Den match? I can't wait to see how it works.
Yeah.
You know? But other than that, like, when I used to watch EPW back in the day, when I was, 14, 15 years old,
yeah,
every single show was so meaningful. Whatever was happening on that show was built from what the last show was, and, it just kept building and building and building. And, like, every show was so meaningful. There were no filler shows. Whereas now, it kind of feels like sometimes they go through the paces for this show because they're building towards, Reawakening or one of their big events.
Yeah.
And I feel like, back in the day, everything was so important, every single show. The main event was a huge main event, every single show. Now it's changed a little bit. Maybe they're in a bit of a transitional period because I know a lot of veterans have left and they're rebuilding their roster a little bit more.
Yeah.
But, the other 3 federations, I've already given my thoughts on them on my blog and all that. But
Yeah.
I think there's a lot more that all of them can be doing with the talent that they've got. Hide people's weaknesses, accentuate their strengths, make the best product you possibly can, and make every show build to the next show and make everything everyone is doing meaningful, and everything that everyone is doing be building their character to tell the story that they're telling with their angles,
And I think it's funny as well, just as a slight aside, that we have pro feds who have not only trained where we wrestle, but also try to poach our talent. Like, that says a lot about us.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
like,
for sure.
you know, like,
I've had, we used to have the AEW, the AEW management come to our shows to watch our shows. They would sit there the whole event.
yeah,
And then all of a sudden they want to do training in our ring. And then all of a sudden now Rex Regan's on their shows and he's barely done any pro training, maybe, a couple of months worth in the WCWA ring.
yeah,
But and Rex is more than capable of wrestling for AEW without a doubt.
yeah,
Comparing him to some of the guys on their roster, he's light years ahead of them as far as being a wrestler.
yeah,
But I was worried from day one when AEW stepped into the backyard and started wanting to see our shows and talk to the guys and train with them.
yeah.
I knew that the idea was so they could get guys to do AEW.
And I'll be honest as well, is like, I love backyard wrestling, but it's unprofessional. And to see a professional, quote unquote, organization approach backyarders and have that level of interest, to me, like,
I think they probably saw us and thought this is a great opportunity to build to the future of AEW.
yeah,
And then they tried it, and because we thought everything that they did sucked,
yeah,
it didn't end up happening. But I know for a while there, they were training, a lot of the guys on a Friday night and stuff. But I never went.
no,
But, they still had me wrestle for them and all that. But, it is what it is, and it happened. But, we were talking about you joining the booking committee,
Yeah.
and we just went on this rant here. But, hey, we need all we can get to really get some meat out of this interview because your run in WCWA has only just been just over a year now, so
yeah, definitely.
still a lot to talk about. But good to talk a bit about the booking and how you feel it works and what works and what doesn't work. And
definitely.
a lot isn't working in the pro scene, but and I'm not saying EPW is doing a bad job. The shows are still great to watch.
Yeah.
The performing is great, but I just feel like they could be doing a lot more.
Mm.
And that, in saying that for EPW, that's tenfold for all the other feds. So just saying that, times 1 for EPW is a times 10 for the other feds. They need to really see where they're at and figure out what they're doing because I feel like they're just... AEW can hire Vince Russo all they want. I guarantee you the shows still aren't good because the guys aren't capable of pulling off what Vince Russo's booking for him.
And it was like we were talking about earlier with the WWE in the current state that it's in as well, is that you need to be pulling in the casual fan. Like, I consider myself now these days a fairly casual fan. So if if my local wrestling scene, where I only need to travel 20 minutes to go to the next show, if they can't get me invested in any way to be able to come down and see that, then you're not doing your job.
Yeah.
And then you need to be revising what you're doing.
Exactly. You got your diehard fans that'll always be there, but you got to focus on building your fan base and finding a way to draw.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just having great wrestling matches and all that, that's all well and good, but where's the draw?
Yeah.
Where's the money?
Well,
as Dusty Rhodes would say, where's the money?
Where's the investment? We get behind characters like, like some of my favorite characters in the Attitude Era, like Kurt Angle during the Invasion storyline, because he stepped up and was, wanted to be a leader, and he got insanely over as a face while he'd wrestled as a heel for his entire WWE tenure. Stone Cold, like, turning corporate, like, I got invested in that because he'd never done it before, and it was the badass who had finally sold out.
I think what we're missing is some larger-than-life characters. I know Mike Massive is a larger-than-life character, and he certainly can be a draw, and he was Schwa's only draw when I wrestled for them.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's get back onto backyard wrestling.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll do a separate podcast talking about our philosophies on how booking works. And
I think we should.
And I think that would be fun. But, we just spent the last 15 minutes on that, so that's all good. All right, so the next show is Autumn Brawl. You get your first opportunity to cut a promo. We've got all the Elite Alliance in the ring talking about the accolades. Blade Shaw, you get to end the promo. All right, I'm handing you the mic. I trust you. I remember you in the mic in XCW. You're going to do a great job. Here we go. What happened?
I shit the bed. I think it was an okay promo.
No, it was good. It was good.
I was...
You, that fucking guy with the shirt.
Yeah. I was just like... At this point, I think I drank like 6 to 8 beers, so I was like a bit tipsy. And I get out there, and Carl gives me the mic, and he's like, "All right, man, just like do whatever. I trust you. Like you can do this."
Talk about who you are and why you're here.
Yeah, and the first thing I'm thinking is just like, "Holy shit, I don't know what to say." Like I haven't thought about it. Like I just, like super preoccupied, and so. I mean, like, I think some of the content was good. I talked about, like, I was always on the losing side in XCW, so now, now I was back in the winner.
Yeah.
And all that kind of stuff.
You reference XWA.
Yeah, and I referenced the XWA and stuff, but I was like, I was trying to figure out how to get heat, and so I was just, like, pointing to random people in the audience. I remember Del Cano sitting there, I'm like, "Hey, you little beady-eyed fuck." And everyone's like laughing, and I'm just like, "Yeah, shut the fuck up." And it's just like, everyone's like, "What the fuck?" He wasn't saying anything. And I'm just like, "I don't give a fuck."
That's like, you said something to someone, I think you're pointing to Kyle.
Yeah.
And you really gave it to him, and Kyle was just sitting there, hadn't said a word.
Yeah. I'm just like ripping into people, but like I think like it was probably not the promo I would have wanted to have cut, but all in all, yeah, it was enjoyable. It was amusing. I think people realised I was probably a bit like fucking off my tits at that point. So
you had to, man. We're in a jolly mood. I mean, at this point, I'm just beaming because I'm hanging out with you at the shows. I'm hanging out with Nick at the shows.
Yeah,
I've got my XCW boys with me.
Yeah.
So like, as much as I love everyone else, just to have guys from the past was something that I always wanted. I always wanted you guys to be involved at some point. So.
Yeah.
Anyway, later on in the event, you have your in-ring return, your first match since December 2010.
Jesus.
You go one-on-one with Dynamo Luke Monet. I picked him especially for you because I wanted you to come out there and have the confidence knowing that you got someone who's going to sell well for you.
Yeah.
And someone who, if you get lost because you haven't done it in a while, he'll be able to, bring you back to earth. And at that point with Luke, it was like he couldn't have a bad match. So I knew putting him against you, well, now Blade's going to have the confidence now because it's guaranteed to be a good match.
Yeah. And I think it was. Like, I mean, once again, it's not exactly like a spectacle, but I think we told a good story. Like, we played the sort of David versus Goliath thing very well.
And he took my instructions, and my instructions were make him look good, make him look like a monster.
Yeah.
He's the insurance policy. We've got to get that over to him.
Yeah. And I only took like one bump, I think, in the match.
Yeah, and he was like, I'm excited. I don't care that it's basically a squash. I want to make, he's passionate about making someone look good.
Yeah, and full credit to him. Like, he definitely gave me the confidence going forward that, like, I at least had a base to, like, work off. I had a base of work and a body of moves that I could build upon.
Yeah.
Because, wrestling in a ring for me was a completely different experience.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I could ask about that. What's it like being in a fucking ring?
So much different. Oh. Just the parameters of, like, having a ring and ropes and, like, turnbuckles is just so much different to wrestling on grass and fucking mattresses. Like, it actually, I think, threw me a little bit in that first match because you don't just have this open expanse to work with.
Well, for XCW, the ring was the whole backyard.
Yeah,
you could pin anyone anywhere. There's no point in having a false count anywhere match because every match was a false count anywhere.
Yeah,
match.
Exactly. So it did throw me a little bit, I think, at first, but now, obviously I'm a lot more comfortable, and it's amazing being able to wrestle in the ring. So good.
So your impressions on the match with Dynamo?
Good. Probably not as good as I wish it was, but it gave me the ability to be able to test exactly where I was, and I think, although maybe I wasn't at the top of my game like I was towards the end of XCW, I still had the basics there.
I think I could tell. I've just uncovered this thought now. I probably wasn't even thinking it at the time, but I can tell now, looking back. You're delivering your moves like you're delivering them onto a mattress.
Yeah.
you're not aware that you could put more impact into it because they're not landing on grass or a mattress which is like this thin on grass, which has no give.
Yeah.
So you're delivering your moves the way that you used to.
Yeah.
Then I think I told you afterward, lay it in. When you do a move, lay it in because it doesn't hurt anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, and I remember you saying to me, like, man, you need to be more aggressive because, like, yeah, you look like you're protecting your opponents way too much. And yeah, so that was a big help for me, that entire conversation.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, I think I wrestled very much in my sort of XCW style, and I think Luke, being the sort of wrestler that he is, we managed to put together a decent match regardless.
And you hit the reverse suplex again.
And yeah, and it looked awesome as well.
I think because when we had our hangout, we watched that match with Diffuser, and I was like, when you wrestle Dynamo, make sure you hit that reverse suplex again. Make that a big part of your list.
Yeah.
And you know what? I reckon I could take it now. I reckon I got the confidence to take it. So
yeah. Okay.
Next time we get out there, we're gonna attempt it.
Sweet.
All right. So next show, Rampage.
Yes.
The feud rages on between WCWA and the Elite Alliance as you take on Mike Delcano. So I know that you've had a lot of good things to say about your experience planning a match with Delcano.
Yeah. Firstly, like, the first thing that Mike said to me is, I'm honored to be able to wrestle you. It's really cool to have the experience. And to me, like, that meant a fuckload because, I'm aware of the caliber of wrestler that Mike is. He's an extremely talented individual. I think he has the drive and the ability to go as far as he wants. And
I'll put this on record. If he stayed in WCWA this year, he would have been the heavyweight champ.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Without a doubt. Like, he would have been the next babyface champ.
Yeah, definitely.
After Mykonos stopped Antilochus, I would have probably done something with Mike Delcano and Antilochus. So.
Yeah, and that series of matches, I can only imagine, would have been fucking amazing.
That will just have to be in our minds. We'll just have to fantasize over how great Jacob versus Delcano would be.
Store that in, like, the fantasy wrestling wank bank.
Yeah. So, how did you feel your match with Mike went?
Really well. I don't know how other people's experiences with Mike are, but he was, like, what I would assume a consummate professional would be. Like, he messaged me and was like, hey, these are some of my ideas. I want you to think of some ideas of your own and send them back to me, and then we'll collaborate and make a match together. So I was like, yeah, cool. So I messaged him back and sort of told him what I was thinking.
See, I've always heard about the experience of planning a match with Delcano.
Yeah.
And I never really got that with him because it was basically improv. We planned the finish, a couple of spots, but, it seems like any time I got the chance to wrestle these guys who were so good and they were very to the T on their planning, like a Clint Marshall or Mike Delcano, I never actually got that planning.
Yeah. But I think it's different in a sense as well. It's like, Mike, obviously, he's the sort of guy that's competitive and wants to have a very good caliber match. And so with somebody like you, he probably doesn't need to spend the time as much trying to bring you up to the dance because you're already there. Whereas I think with guys like me, and I can't blame him for this, is that, I'm coming back and I'm fairly inexperienced over the past 5 years.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, he needs to make sure that I know what I'm doing and he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, full props to him. I think we had an amazing match. Very hard hitting, very physical. And yeah, like I said previously, I think he made me look like $1 million.
He did. So on the same show, Hydro returns. So now I got 3 of my boys back.
Yes.
Hydro returns after, I think, an 8-year absence from backyard wrestling. Takes on 3 Dog. You probably only really remember Hydro as a young, 12, 13-year-old kid.
In a cap, yeah.
And now you're meeting him and he's got his tall cans of Stella or whatever. I think he was drinking Stella.
Yeah.
He had like a 4-pack of cans and he was drinking beers with us and then he made his return. So,
yeah.
What's it like, seeing Hydro again for the first time in years and then...
So crazy, man. Like, I remember chatting to him at the show when he came back and then... and this is the same for Nick as well. Like, we never had any interaction in XCW whatsoever. And then they show up to these WCWA shows, and it's like we're old friends. I'm like, oh man, Nick. Nick offers me a beer now. He's like, how's it going, man? Like, we'll sit together at shows. Like, Hydro, before he left, we were also, like, hanging out. It's so cool. Like, just such a surreal experience, but it's awesome.
And it's also like, holy shit, like, now we're on the same fed, we might actually get the chance to have a wrestling match.
Yeah, exactly.
Which we'll get to down the line here. Frostbite 2014. Yourself and Ryan Tate teamed together for the first time in a 3-team elimination match for the Tag Team Championship. Fortunately, Kyle's had ear surgery, so he could not be wrestling on the show, but Deacon basically goes out there on his own.
Yep.
So the first thing was, when I had you come back, I was like, you know what, I want to do this bit in the year where Elite Alliance has almost all the titles.
Yes.
Because, when you have a stable, you've got to have that moment where everyone's got the belts.
Yeah.
You had that in the corporation. You had that, Shamrock was tag champion and also intercontinental champion. And Shane McMahon was the European champion.
There's got to be that power imbalance at one point.
Yeah, just at one point. Because as soon as we had all the titles and we started losing them all, like, systematically, each show we lost another belt.
Yeah.
But the first thing was, Blade has not won a title since, 2003. I want him to have the opportunity. And O Factor got the pin in that match.
Yeah.
So I remember emphasizing Blade gets the pin.
Yeah.
And so what's it like becoming tag team champion? And how do you feel about your team with Ryan Tate?
Really awesome. I mean, the opportunity to get the win, it's super cool. I mean, being slightly in kayfabe at the moment, this solidifies my legacy as one of the top tag team wrestlers in WA backyarding history.
Yeah.
And so it should. Like, I was the first XCW tag team champion. I'm now a former WZWA/GBYWN tag team champion. Like, why not?
And I want DJ to bring back the ICWS tag belts and have me and you win them.
Yeah.
I want you to have the ICWS tag titles as well. Fuck it.
And then, so it's funny because, like, one of my favorite wrestlers is Billy Gunn. And, you would say his career is largely defined by being a tag team wrestler.
Tag team wrestler. Smoking Guns, New Age Outlaws, Billy and Chuck.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, it's only fitting that, like, my career at this point has been defined by being a tag wrestler.
Like your hero.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, the pin, awesome. The match, I really enjoyed. Like, I think it was the first match where I'd felt confident in myself, like, in terms of my ability, like, and going out there and being able to produce a decent match. Like, holy shit, that sky high bomb that I gave to Monet.
Drill him.
Like, yeah.
That's the epitome of drilling someone.
Like,
right?
just the impact, he bounces back off the mat, like, up and down.
It's always become a secondary finish for you.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, it's pretty much like my, like, prime signature move. But yeah, like, I loved wrestling in that match. And wrestling with Ryan, and I'm sure we'll talk about this as we keep going, but wrestling with Ryan, I think, did heaps for me because he's just such a pro in, like, the backyard sense, as in, like, he knows what he wants to do, he knows where his character's going, he knows what he wants to get out of a match, and everything is set in place.
He's got good detail to it.
He's very much like me. He's very detail-oriented.
And one thing he said to me once, as soon as that bell rings for the match being over, I'm already thinking of the next match.
Yeah.
Like, while he's laying on the mat or while he's celebrating, he's already thinking about what's happening next.
Yeah. And it speaks volumes to him. I think he was pretty much the perfect person for me to be able to come back into backyard wrestling with.
And so many people say, Ryan Tate should be heavyweight champion one day. He should be heavyweight champion one day. And I'm like, it will happen, but I don't know when. But, eventually it will happen.
Yeah.
Because he does deserve it. But, I think that's going to be a long way down the line because this is Jacob's time right now. Jacob's getting his time to shine just like Mykonos did.
Yeah.
Anyway, back onto this. So Hydro's returned. He wrestles 3 for the World Hardcore title. I find it funny because, like, low backed out of the match the day before because he had the flu.
Yeah.
So I needed to find a replacement for Three Dog. So firstly I asked Chris Rowe. Never going to happen.
Yeah.
I might as well throw it out there. Maybe you'd like to come and lose to someone.
Yeah.
But as soon as I asked Hydra, was like, yep, I'm in. Because he was like you. He'd been watching.
Yeah.
But he had never come to a show.
Yeah.
And then he said, I'll be cool to come maybe cut a promo.
Yeah.
At some point. Like, ease into it. Next thing is he's challenging for the world hardcore
title.
Anyway, so apart from all that, back to Frostbite, winning the tag titles. Pretty big moment. Good for you to get the tag team title win. And you and Ryan are now off on your tag team title reign.
Yes.
So we get to the musical 2014. You guys take on the Broken Highway Mafia. I believe it's their first ever tag match. You and Ryan versus Brandon Cage and Steel Kemsley. I know Ryan wasn't as happy with the match as he wanted to be, but I think it was still a pretty decent encounter. And I know you guys were very excited by the idea of having the match.
Yeah, because
Brandon's very talented and Steel was on the rise. He was doing really well.
Yeah, exactly. So, it was a chance for us to face the new up-and-comers. I can understand what Ryan said. I was also very disappointed with the match. I just don't think we clicked all that well with them. There was just some botched stuff, like Brandon did his springboard clothesline and, he hit me in the face rather than hitting me, on the chest. And so I ended up, bleeding from the mouth.
Oh, okay.
That's why if you watch the match on YouTube, I, spend a lot of time out of the ring. Because most of it is just me spitting out onto the outside, but it is what it is, and I think now looking forward, it speaks to the futures of those two because Brandon's now out of WCWA and Steele's having an awesome run as a singles competitor.
Yeah. So we maybe know what the issue was.
Yeah.
So that was the next part I was going to talk about in the booking committee sense, issues with Brandon. I think we should bring up a lot of the issues that we did go through as bookers.
Yeah.
What is your thoughts on the situation with Brandon? Is he in? Is he out? Is he in? Is he out? What is he doing?
I mean, the backyard wrestling business, yeah, we're not professional, so, there is a sense of leniency in that, you can't make a show or etc., or you're uncomfortable with something. It's a little bit easier to be like, yeah, no, okay, we understand, whatever, we'll just go in a different direction. But, you do still have to pay your dues,
Yeah.
When you're a new guy, you come in, you wrestle the other guys who are lower down in the card, and then you work your way up. Brandon's a talented individual. I'm not begrudging him that. I think if he'd stuck with it and been committed and been willing to just shut his mouth and work hard, then he would have climbed the ladder very easily.
He would have, without a doubt.
But that was the issue. I think he life imitating art a little bit too much. His favorite wrestler is CM Punk. I think he was a bit of a shit stirrer. He was never happy with what we were giving him.
Oh, well, I said, do you want, I was thinking maybe you could be part of the DJ school of wrestling and be, you guys have a little faction.
Yeah.
It's DJ's the leader and you guys are the rookies,
Yeah.
But it was from day one he wanted to be in charge of what the name of the group was going to be, the theme song.
Yeah.
He wouldn't listen to DJ. DJ would come to me saying, what the fuck's going on. Brandon would go behind his back to get the booking changed on where the group was headed.
Yeah.
He wanted to have a feud where he won the name Broken Highway Mafia and started his own stable. And I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa.
Yeah.
I'm sure Jack or Luke or Jacob, people who've been here since day one would love to lead a stable.
Yeah.
That doesn't just get given to anyone. That's just either it's by chance that it just so happens or because it's been a solid plan.
Yeah.
Aston Creed is the leader of the Elite Alliance, Dark Ice is the leader of the Black Carnival.
Yeah.
That's how it works.
Yeah.
These are guys who pay their dues for years.
Yeah.
So Brandon just didn't get it. I really do like the guy, but he just didn't get it in the sense of you gotta learn to like the taste of shit before you
Yeah, can
learn
reap
to
the
like
rewards.
before you reap the rewards of the nice pork roast on a Sunday afternoon.
But it's funny you say you like the guy, because I'm exactly the opposite. I actually reckon he's a bit of a fuckwit. Which, people probably be like, oh man, Blade, the nice guy, like, he never would talk shit about anybody. But I just never got along with him, and I found issues with when I would tell him about booking decisions that he would complain to me and make me feel like it was my fault that things weren't going the way he wanted them to.
And you know what? I think I purposely made you be the one to deliver news to him because I liked the idea of you, like...
Being annoyed at him,
yeah.
like, just
I was like, I don't want to deal with it. I'm making Blade do this.
yeah, and so, like, I had issues with him from day one, and I don't have respect for people that don't have respect for me or the things that I put effort into, or I put my heart into, and that's what it felt like. So, yeah, unfortunate situation, very talented guy, but just the wrong attitude.
Yeah. Okay, so we get to Hardcore Hell, and there's a shitstorm brewing
Yeah.
because we book you and Mykonos in a pure rules match.
Yeah.
Because Mitch is not big on the hardcore
wrestling.
stuff.
Yeah.
If it calls for it in a feud, then he would do it. But overall, he would probably rather just have a straight wrestling match.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, I was under the impression that I've got to put a stipulation to every match at this Hardcore Hell. That was never what Hardcore Hell was. Hardcore Hell was just... There was no disqualifications in any match because... It was kind of I was ripping off WCW Uncensored, where like there was no disqualifications, no rules.
Yeah.
Anything goes for all the matches. That was the idea initially. Yeah. But at this point, I'm getting kind of sick of the hardcore stuff because everyone's going overboard, and people when they're trying to set up their spots for the matches, they're taking too long, so it's affecting the match quality.
Yeah.
And I'm getting over the hardcore thing a little bit. So. Hardcore Hell comes along, and I'm like, I want to do something a bit different,
Yeah.
Hardcore doesn't just have to mean weapons. Hardcore can mean hardcore actual wrestling. Like, this is the most hardcore of actual wrestling, pure rules. Like, we're being real fucking,
Wrestlers. Yeah.
Like, that's how it was, and that was just the idea. And anyway, everyone was like, oh, every match is supposed to be hardcore, and it's just like, it doesn't matter,
Yeah.
Who cares, If we're a pro fed, then maybe that's a problem, but we're just backyard wrestling. And sometimes when you say it's just backyard wrestling, it does apply.
Yeah.
But you can't say that. You can't say it's just pro wrestling. It's pro wrestling. You've got to make sure it all makes sense.
Yeah.
But anyway, you and Mykonos, you got to wrestle him. So your thoughts on working with Mitch and planning with him?
I remember we talked online a little bit, but mostly it was down to like improv and on the day, and it was actually like a really solid match. I like wrestling Mitch, and I remember he does the same to me. He was like, I'm actually surprised, but we seem to have pretty good chemistry.
I think Mitch does good against big dudes.
Yeah.
He's had a lot of experience with Three Dogs. So
yeah, exactly. So I think that really helped in wrestling me. And
can you see a little bit of a theme running so far? I'm putting you against the real solid workers to get you better.
Yeah.
So you're taking on the Luke Monays, the Mike Delcanos, the franchises.
Yeah.
And now...
And now Mykonos. And I think, obviously down the line it pays off quite a lot because, it's another match where I'm just gaining the confidence of like, I'm facing these really solid workers who I have tons of respect for. And managing to put on like decent matches with them.
Yeah. So from there we'll talk about Clash of the Triads. I know that Ryan and Lily were disappointed in the results of this the first round match that you guys had against Team WCWA.
Yep.
Being the franchise and Acid. Acid bails on them straight away because he's Elite Alliance.
Yeah.
So it's a running theme throughout the show. Is Acid going to play nice with the franchise being an original, or is he going to fuck off again? Yeah. So we sell that story in the match, and he walks off, and then the match happens, ends a bit too early.
Yeah.
So anyway, thoughts on not just your match at Clash of the Triads, but the whole show?
So my match, it ended too soon, and there was a lot of confusion because I think Jack had either been hurt or just wasn't feeling the match, so he actually called for the end early.
Which meant Lily, because it was Lily's in-ring debut, basically, and she was supposed to hit a few more moves on Monet.
Yeah, and so we didn't get to explore that aspect fully, and so it was probably cut like 5 or 6 minutes too early. And that was disappointing. Like, we had worked with them previously and managed to put on a good match, so it just felt like we had not brought the same level to this match that we brought to the last one.
Yeah, so it is what it is.
Yeah, ultimately, this is all in the past, so whatever, I don't really give a fuck. But, yeah, I felt bad for Lily, she didn't get the chance that she wanted to get in the ring and do what she wanted to do.
Because basically that match was just for her time to shine, basically.
Yeah, exactly. And, we'd seen little bits and pieces, of her doing the lariat and stuff, and, teased it out a bit, but this was supposed to be, her kind of moment, and I guess it was steamrolled over a little bit.
Yes. But, despite it being cut short, I guess you were a bit puffed out because you straight away after this match were to work a match with Hydro. Now, I recently finally uploaded this match and I finally watched it for the first time since it happened. Yeah. And I was like, Hydro never hit any moves. He just got beat down the whole time and it lasted maybe 4 or 5 minutes and then it ended in a double count
out. Yeah.
But you finally got to wrestle Hydro. When he comes back, he did say he wants to wrestle you again to make sure you guys have that proper ultimate match. So, okay, XCW happened. Hydro was there for about 1.5 years, 2 years. Never wrestled him. Probably didn't even interact with him because he was a kid.
Yeah.
But now, all these years later, you and Hydro are touching.
Yeah.
So, memories on the quick battle you guys had.
I remember saying to you specifically that I didn't actually want to wrestle him at that show because I was at this point I'm pretty sure I was working out and exercising a lot more, but I still wasn't at a point that I think I was comfortable to be able to work 2 matches.
I think he wasn't going to be around long.
Yeah.
Because he told me when he was going.
Yeah, and so you wanted to...
So I was like, I've got to fit this in now because I don't know if he'll ever be back.
Yeah, exactly. So it's kind of one of those things, I think, where the timing was just unfortunately a little bit off. And so I didn't get to have the proper match with him that I wanted to have. But the fact that he's coming back and he wants to have another match, I'm completely down for. There's going to be an exclusive WZWA first. I accept your rematch proposal. You little fuckhead.
And I really want to get, and I'm going to just cut off the timeline here and talk about Backyard TV. I want to get Backyard TV back, dude.
Yeah.
We're the booking committee. We got to be there at 10. The show starts at 11. Let's get 3 matches done in an hour.
Yeah.
We can do it.
Yeah.
Just got to get the music set up. We've got to get Backyard TV back. We haven't had one this year.
Yeah.
And it helps. It helps with situations like that. Like, when I wrestled him, it was because it was on Backyard TV.
Yeah.
And
that was a good match as well.
Yeah, really good match.
Yeah.
I was really proud of it, and I want to have another one with him at some point.
Yeah.
So when he does come back, he's fine with wrestling twice in a show.
Yeah.
Whereas, maybe you not so much.
Yeah.
But people like Alex Stone and DJ never really wanted to do Backyard TV because they wanted to save themselves for later.
Yeah.
But I think Backyard TV is important.
Yeah.
And I think we've all forgotten about it a little bit now.
Yeah.
Because we haven't done it in so long. But, what are your thoughts on Backyard TV and how it helps?
I think it's important for, especially the younger guys as well, because they're hungry. They're like we were back in the day. They want to wrestle all the time. If there was a backyard wrestling show every day, they'd fucking be there and they would be wrestling.
It helps with people's win-loss records as well.
Yeah, exactly. If somebody's struggling a little bit or, is in a position like yourself where they have to put over, talent to further them, then you're able to get back a little bit of that heat by winning a match.
Feeding Scream.
Yeah.
And
Esquilito,
Mojo Flow, and El Papacito, because there's been no Backyard TV, there's been no real purpose for an El Papacito or Mojo Flow this year.
Yeah.
Now, they've done a couple of things here and there, but it would be good to get it back and get it going again. And we've got to be organised. We've got to be there just before 10 as a group, and whoever's there, fuck it. There's
actually some potential to have some really good matches on there. I mean, Mike Delcano versus Brandon Cage, awesome match.
Yeah,
that was Cage's first match. I'm pretty
Second
sure.
Match.
Second. Yeah, really good. Delcano versus Monet for the Backyard title.
Yeah, and
really
I think Delcano loved the idea of defending the Backyard title on Backyard TV because he was like, "This is my show."
Yeah, exactly. Like, it actually makes sense. And
I'd love to get Deacon out there to defend his title here and there, and
I think with the fact that now we've gone bi-monthly as well, why the fuck not should we be making the most of the time that we have?
Exactly. And I love wrestling on Backyard TV as well. Just have a little bit of a pre-show warm-up match. And
I think
because of Backyard TV that I wrestled the likes of Deacon, and I got to wrestle some people that I otherwise probably wouldn't have been able to.
Yeah, and I think I would love to wrestle on Backyard TV. I think for me it's just a matter of my fitness.
We just got to get the pacing of when you're having Backyard TV and when you're wrestling later on.
Yeah, unfortunately I am at that point at the moment where it's like I do need that level of protection in a sense, just because...
That's why I probably never asked you to do it, because I knew you needed to save yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
But, when it comes to it, Hardcore Hell, maybe let's try and get Backyard TV done in an hour before the show's going to start, because Hardcore Hell is 11 matches, but...
yeah.
I know we can do
14 matches.
We can do Papacito loses in 2 minutes. Mojo Flow loses in 2 minutes. Main event can be whatever. Big Ace versus Steel in a rematch from the last show, but it ends in a schmoz with Deacon coming out and Kyle coming out and be a scrap.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Even if Ace and Steel don't have to do too much, just 3 or 4 minutes, get it done. Get it dusted.
And it still adds to the storyline.
Yeah, keep the storyline flowing, and that's what was good about Backyard TV. We also added in those little bits of a layering between a feud.
Yeah.
Anyway, back onto it. We're going to talk about Johnny V returning at Clash of the Triads. So, Team XCW comes out for the first match. It's the fourth match on the show, the quarterfinals. We take on Rebellion and Dark Ice, seeing Johnny V make his return.
Really cool. I mean, it's funny as well because initially the plan was that Team XCW would be me, you, and Nick.
Yeah, but because then John...
Yeah, because John said he wanted to get involved.
This is a good idea. I'd love to have the chance to do the six-man with you and Nick, because that'll never happen again.
Yeah, exactly. So
I was like, Blade. Sorry, mate.
So I don't make the cut, which is fine. You're like, oh man, look, John wants to come back and wrestle in the Triads tournament, and you're like, look, I'd rather put you on a different team. I remember saying to you, I'm like, that's fine. To be honest, I would rather represent EA than XCW anyway at this point.
Yeah.
So, seeing John come back, awesome. That ridiculous, crack the code Y2J thing.
Yeah.
It's just another one of those things that adds on to the fact that John is probably one of the premier entertainers that we've ever had in WA yarding. And that's to this day, he was always like that back in XCW, and he stays like that, in WZWA.
Yeah. So, the second match we have, you come out with us, is a full celebration of XCW. And then it ends with me and Johnny V having a thing and starting off what can be a feud leading to resolution.
Yeah.
But overall, Clash of the Triads, I think, was a success. It was the first ever trios tag team tournament in, I believe, backyard wrestling history throughout the world.
Yeah.
I don't believe Rad Hazard or any of those guys have ever had a trios tournament. And you know what? This was the one time that I thought Chikara. I'd never even seen a show.
Yeah.
But I always loved how hyped up their trios tournament was.
Yeah.
So I was like, I want to do a trios tournament because we've got the numbers.
Yeah.
We can do it. And I think in the end it was one of the best shows we've ever had.
Yeah, like it
wrestling-wise, you know?
Yeah, it was interesting as well because amidst everything that happened, like, there was still some storyline, but a lot of it was kind of, tossed away in the mix. Like, look at the...
We focused on the Acid franchise thing.
Yeah.
But other than that, it was just a bit of a chance to enjoy a bit of nostalgia.
Like Team ICWS
come out to their old theme songs. They're against the Radical Army, which was...
an ICWS born
movement. Yeah, the Radical Movement was supposed to be the team, but because of that, Alex Stone got thrown in there.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it was a good chance for a bit of nostalgia, also for a chance of a bit of just go out there and just wrestle, and not worry about the constant storylines and angles, which I'm sure some people are like, oh, there's always an angle. You got to have the angle, though, man. You got to have that character development. As far as I'm concerned, that's how I book.
Yeah.
If you want just wrestling, ICWS is right there as well. That's not a knock.
No.
There are still angles in ICWS, but it's not so storyline and angle based like we are. There's always something cooking. There's always an angle going on.
Yeah.
So from there. Okay, we get to Gentleman's Duel, which is a pretty big match in the history of the tag team division because I'm just going to set the scene for you, Blade.
Okay.
18 months prior, Circus Royale joined the WZWA at Hard Time 2.
Yep.
They had lost to pretty much everyone on the roster. They'd won a couple of matches here and there, but they were basically just paying their dues. And this is after several years of them doing ETW, Extreme Trampoline Wrestling, where they were probably heavyweight champion there and all that. So they come into WCWA, they start from scratch, and did I ever hear one complaint from them? Never. Did they ever say, no, I don't like that idea? Never. They just took the idea and they tried to make it as good as they possibly could. You good for beer?
Nah, I need another one.
So, with that's setting the scene right now. They had a title shot against Legion.
Yep.
They'd had 2 title shots against the franchise. They'd had number 1 contenders matches that they might have lost. They've had so many opportunities. The elimination tag team match for the titles. So many opportunities at the tag titles after 18 months. Finally, here we get to it. Gentleman's Duel 2014. Circus Royale defeats Blade Shaw and Ryan Tate for the tag team titles. Tell me, you weren't there when they debuted, but still, it still meant a lot to you to put them over.
Yeah.
Because you're booking as well, so you know what they're like.
Yeah.
The first ones there, every single show, they come from the furthest distance.
Oh, I remember hearing stories about them being up at 5 a.m. and they'd meet up and they'd just travel to Jack's house because they want to be there. They love backyard wrestling.
Yeah. Because they were there and they're like, well, if there's the opportunity, we'll do backyard TV as well.
Yeah.
Did they ever say nah? It was like, can you put on your Emilio mask, Kyle, and straight away?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'll do it. Whatever.
Yeah. And to having watched them on YouTube and seen what they were capable of, and the fact that they paid their dues, and to somebody like me, with my XCW history and having lost, paying your dues is such a big thing. They had more than done that, and they deserve those titles. And Ryan breaking kayfabe at the end and just saying look, you guys deserve these titles, was absolutely true. To be able to drop them, to drop the titles to them was a massive privilege. I loved the match. It was fun as hell. It was
a marathon of a match. There's so many false finishes, and I thought it was going to be ended at this point. And I'm just sitting there watching as a fan at this point. These guys are really building up to this climax really well. And I think, did Ryan have a lot to do with the planning?
Yeah, like we all kind of like sat around and spoke about like kind of what we wanted to do and how we wanted things to be portrayed. And Ryan was kind of at the head of that. And like obviously, like you can tell that he had quite a large hand in that.
Yeah.
And it was probably my favorite tag team match that I've had up until this point. It was just very clean, like very entertaining, and it ended perfectly. Circus getting hoisted up on people's shoulders, like it was awesome.
Yeah, that was always my plan. When they win it, they're going to have the Bret Hart WrestleMania 10 moment where they get hoisted up on the shoulders. And, it's just such a nice moment, and they probably sat there on those shoulders with the titles, those cardboard titles, and thought, "Wow, 18 months and we earned this."
Yeah,
like it's not just Nick Carey winning the backyard title. Wins the title because he's a Hall of Famer. Got to bring prestige to the belt.
Yeah.
No, it's just like that 18 months of hard work, we've earned it.
And I remember saying to them specifically, like, it's funny because I'm very serious usually backstage before I go out to wrestle. And, the four of us were standing together and I turned to them specifically and I say, congratulations, you guys earned this. I respect that.
And it's only the tag titles, but to them that meant the world,
Yeah.
And
I hope that, sure, I might not be a diffuser, Johnny V, Nick Ariel caliber sort of guy, but...
No, you are. You are.
To them, I hope it meant something that, to me it meant...
And I think that might be something that's a little bit lost. I think sometimes people forget to thank people for doing them the favour. And that's not a knock on anyone. I don't know if they thanked you or not, but I think some people need to, if they win a title, they should take the time to say, I just want to thank you for believing in me and agreeing to put me over and all that. Like, for example, Jacob, when he won the heavyweight title, he took the time to say to me, hey, man, I just want to say thank you.
Yeah.
For, not that I need it. Not that I need it.
Yeah.
But he made the time to thank me for it. And I was like, well, that feels really nice that someone would take the time to thank me for giving them the opportunity that they probably waited years to get.
And it was like, I think that's what made the culmination of Alex versus Mykonos at Resolution so poignant, was that moment of respect. Outside of kayfabe, at the end, when Alex was talking, and there just seemed to be that, like, mutual respect and that, like, thank you of, like, passing the torch.
And Alex saying, I wouldn't have wanted to be anyone else that I passed the torch to than you.
Yeah. And, yeah, well, I think you're right. There is a lot of moments, I think, even pro wrestling, that you just have to stop and say thank you to the people that are putting you over and putting you in a position to
taking the time to
make you look like $1 million bucks. Because, yeah, sure, it's a predetermined thing, but, inherently, nobody likes losing. Nobody likes being in a position where they're...
Oh, of course, no one likes losing.
Yeah.
Even though it's not real, it's still, isn't it? Shit, I'm losing this one.
Yeah, exactly. And so, it becomes a thing, whereas, I've in my older, more wizened state of being, I've become very thankful for the opportunities I get.
And just to chime in quickly, sorry to cut you off. It's almost like it's getting to a point now when losing to one of our brothers in WCWA is a privilege.
Yeah.
It's a privilege to put you over and make you look better.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably how you guys definitely felt.
Well, that's it as well. And I mean, for me especially, this is an aside thing, before we skip on to whatever's next. But, at this point, I've been booked to not lose. So I've lost matches, but I haven't been pinned or submitted specifically.
Pinned. Yeah, it's been Ryan taking the fall.
Yeah, exactly. And so...
And this is me making it up to you.
Yeah, exactly. And I love that. But what makes that special to me is there is somebody on the WCWA roster at the moment that even I don't know down the track who will eventually take that accolade away from me. And whoever it is, I know is a person that deserves
It's going to be the person that deserves to get that vital pin. You know, I think it's gone on so long now that people have stopped noticing that you haven't lost a match, you haven't been pinned.
Yeah, exactly.
Or made to submit.
Yeah, so I think, you know, when it comes to light, and I'm sure it will, it's such a passing of the torch. You know, it's like when they talk about Undertaker losing to Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania, and it was touched on in the Stone Cold podcast, is that, you know, Undertaker wants to give back to the business. I want to give back to the business of backyard wrestling. You know, like, sure, it's not a pro thing, and I understand that, but
we know it's just backyard wrestling. But just hang with us here.
Yeah, exactly. I want to give back. So if I can lose to people who deserve it, then I'm doing my job and I'm enjoying it. You know, and Circus was exactly that situation.
Yeah. And from there, we're moving on. You missed Battlefield Brawl. You're working. You missed Christmas Carnage.
Yep.
So in your place, Dan Zeppelin tags with Ryan to take on Mojo Flow and El Papacito in a tag match.
Yeah.
Great little match. You know, I just think Ryan is just such a good tag team wrestler.
Yeah, he really
is. If I was booking a pro fed and Ryan had done training and stuff, I would make sure he's in that tag division. He's like the Billy Gunn.
Yeah.
Like tag title reigns with several different people, but he's always a constant in that division. And then once we need him for something else, we'll take him out, do something else, then back in the tag division to rebuild whatever's going on there.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I know this sounds probably stupid and embarrassing in the backyard wrestling, but like, Ryan is so solid, and Billy Gunn was such a solid wrestler as well. That's the weird thing, you know. It's like his intercontinental title reign was amazing, and he always seemed like that guy to me who like almost could have broken through to the main event. Like,
I think everyone in WWE saw Billy Gunn as the next Shawn Michaels.
Yeah.
Because apparently Billy Gunn was probably the most athletic person anyone had ever seen.
Yeah.
You see him hit those ropes so fast.
Yeah.
And he's just, as soon as he bumps, he gets back up so quickly and he's ready to take that next bump.
Such a crisp athlete.
Yeah, he's amazing. Billy Gunn was amazing. Even in his old age when he did like that stuff with the Shield and all that.
Yeah.
Like, he still had it.
Yeah.
You know, Road Dogg had lost a step, but Billy Gunn still... You put him on the roster now, he'll still be able to go.
And that's what, like, I've been watching the newest season of Tough Enough. It's so awesome seeing him as, like, a coach, because I have always respected, like, his ability. Like you said, he's just such a crisp athlete and seems to understand, like, the foundation and basic elements of wrestling that, like, it just makes that difference.
Yeah.
And it's like just such like an awesome dude. He seems to me like to be like the biggest straight shooter. Like, he says what's on his mind and like fuck it, just like yeah.
He embodies that DX
attitude.
Thought, yeah. All right. So, are you disappointed that you missed Christmas Carnage?
Yeah.
You missed out on being on the Battlefield Brawl, which was an XCW event once upon a time.
I was super devo, but you know, at this point, I was like living out of home.
I believe you were meant to wrestle DJ on the card.
I was, yeah. But I needed the money. You know, I couldn't turn down a shift on the weekend because I get paid like, you know, overtime
bit more,
penalty rates. You know, so my girlfriend was like, no, you can't like turn down a shift at work to make like $250, $300 to wrestle like a backyard show.
Of course. You know, and I totally understood. And you'd been there every event at this point, so I was like, you know what, that's fine.
And so, you know, I was only booked, I was booked to wrestle a match and I was booked to be in the brawl, but, you know, plans turned out to be different anyway, so I think, maybe, although not for the best per se, but, things changed anyway, so my presence wasn't as missed as it may have been anyway.
Yeah. So let's get to the big show.
Ooh.
The biggest event that are you alright with pissing? You've had a piss, haven't you? The biggest show, I believe the best show we've ever had, Resolution 3. And I knew the card, like, months in advance. Well, we all knew the card months in advance. And we knew, how are we going to be able to top this? We've got Alex Stone and Mykonos for the first time ever in the main event. Both of the heavyweight champions.
Champion v champion.
Like, we've got, you know, me and Johnny V. We've got,
Clint Marshall versus Del Cano.
Clint Marshall and Del Cano. NC Viper versus Dark Eyes.
Yeah.
Like, we've got the most amazing card set for the show. And to think Mike Delcano versus Clint Marshall is actually a mid-card match.
Yeah.
That would be a main event anywhere in WA yarding.
Yeah.
Australian, in the worlds of yarding.
Yeah.
That would be a main event. So we have so many great matches on the card. And now, thinking about Resolution 4, what are we going to do to top that? How the fuck are we going to top that? Well, we might actually have Sam Jude coming along, so that's gonna eclipse a lot of things. But, aside from that little spoiler I've given you all, it just depends on how his work goes, but hopefully he can come along. Resolution 3, let's talk a little bit about what happens on the show. You know, from a booking standpoint, this is the first show that we, as a booking team, this is the culmination of all the booking we've come up with all year.
Yeah.
So, how are you feeling the show comes together? Let's start off with what should we start off with?
It's incredibly difficult to even think of anything.
Think of what, okay, let's just start off with Circus and Triple A's feud ending match, turning into the 4-way for the Young Lions briefcase.
That in itself.
That feud was supposed to have been a 9-month feud.
Yeah.
Arthur Aries leaves, comes back, feud keeps going.
Yeah. Because
of Ace continuing it for him.
Yeah.
And the culmination of their feud, it's like, wow, we got that come shot.
I mean, it's difficult because, in backyard wrestling we have such a finite timeline, and so some people would probably say, Circus lost the tag titles too early because they won them the show previous and then dropped them the next show to AAA, which is unfortunate because I think I would have liked to have seen them have a bit of a longer tag title reign.
Yeah.
But it is what it is, and we only have a certain amount of time to work with. And
well, they won the Gentleman's Duel.
Yeah.
They defended them at Christmas Carnage in a match that went for no contest.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and then they
were still continuing, and AAA interfered in the title match.
Yeah, and so it's I don't know.
I knew after 18 months, okay, they finally sometimes you don't get that fairy tale ending.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's true to life.
Yeah.
Alright, so you get those great moments that happen, but suddenly something fucked up happens.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden, Circus are going to be thinking of themselves as singles wrestlers because Deacon's won the briefcase.
Yeah.
And then later on, Nick Ariel needs an opponent, and it's going to be Kyle.
Yeah.
So then all of a sudden, he's got a backyard title, the same show that he's lost the tag titles on. So yes, I know that it would have been nicer for Circus to have a bit of a reign, but at the same time, what are they going to do? Wrestle the same people that they've already wrestled for 18 months?
Yeah, and I think I think at that point as well, you have to take into consideration that the tag division in WCWA is probably getting a bit stale.
Yeah. Well, it was time for everyone to split up.
Yeah,
it was time for Rebellion to be split.
Franchise
needed to do their own thing at some point because all they'd done is just be involved with one another.
Yeah.
So, after that, I knew it was all about rebuilding the tag division, and it was going to be built around DJ Steele and AAA and the Revolutionaries, which didn't end up happening, unfortunately. But anyway, great end to the feud between AAA and Circus.
Yeah.
And it's funny to see what we were thinking, the projections we had for later on in the year, to think that Ace and Deacon are now tag champions. We'd never, wildest dreams would have thought that would have been a thing.
Yeah.
But anyway, I thought that whole thing wrapped up very well, and then,
Well, I mean, even the rest of the show, things that we didn't think may have clicked just worked, like Low versus Phaser, what a good match.
We didn't even, because I don't even know what the plans were for Low for Resolution. I knew that Antilochus was doing stuff with Rex Regan.
He was supposed to win the backyard title.
No, he was winning it at the show. No,
I'm pretty sure he was supposed to win the...
Initially.
Yeah.
Months beforehand, he was going to win the backyard title off Nick Ariel, wasn't he?
Yeah.
But because of Low missing several shows later in the year, things changed, and it was like, well, FaZe has just returned, he needs a win. Low's going to have to take the loss because he's fucked around too much. which was a shame. And it was a shame with Marcus Combs-Jones as well, because I think he was actually very, very good.
Yeah, he had an innate talent.
Great basis of a backyard wrestler. He could have been really good.
Yeah.
But anyway, aside from that, moving forward in the show, let's just get to Del Cano and Clint Marshall. Bit of a shame, the injury.
There's certain matches that like I've told people directly at WWA that like I froth over. Like I told Ice, and I know he mentioned this in his podcast, that I said to him I was very keen on seeing him versus Chaos because I'd heard about like the epic bouts that they'd had previously. And so like, Del Cano and Marshall is just another one of those. I know they have a long storied history and, finally this was it. Like there's never going to be another Del Cano versus Marshall match again. And so, yeah, like what an amazing match for what it was, but I know and they know and everybody else knows it could have been so much better.
It was supposed to be the best match there's ever been.
Yeah, and I think it probably could have been. That's not to shit on the legacy of anybody else, but, it is what it is when you get two incredibly talented individuals facing off against one another in a match that they have invested so much time into. I
just wish Del Cano spread his legs a little bit more when he was getting taken to that turnbuckle. So he didn't fucking hit his shin on the fucking top of the fucking ring post.
Clearly he hasn't watched enough college girl porn. Spread your legs, Del Cano. The love of fuck.
Be treated like the little slut that you are. Alright, so let's talk about NC Viper.
Yes.
This is something that I wasn't sure if it was ever going to happen, but I've been a part of the Smash crew on Noongar Radio for several months, and so I was seeing Neil every week, and he always said to me, "I'd love to have a match with Dark Ice. I want to wrestle with Dark Ice," because him and Ice used to do Noongar Radio every now and then as well, talking about baseball.
Okay.
So Viper and Ice have had a strong relationship going back a few years, but I actually met Viper when I was doing EPW training.
Yeah.
Back in 2006.
Okay.
So, and when I first saw him, I was like, holy shit, this is a really big Aboriginal dude. I'm going to stay out of his way. Turned out to be the sweetest, nicest guy, and the one person I have more in common with than anyone. Who would have thought me, a fucking, 20-year-old
wet behind the ears
kid,
Italian
had more in common with the big Aboriginal bloke with a family and 4 or 5, I don't know. I think he's got like 3 or 4 kids, and I had more in common with him than anyone, and I got along with him more than anyone. And then years later, I saw him at NHPW when I went to a show, and I saw him afterwards. Like, hey man, do you remember me? And we got in the ring and had a photo and stuff. And
that's wicked.
Then, all these years later, we actually were in AAW together, and I hung out with him a bit at the shows, and then I was on radio with him, and anyway, eventually I just messaged him and I was like, hey man, we've got Resolution, our biggest show ever. I know you said you've been keen to come to WCWA because on Noongar Radio he was mainly promoting WCWA over every other fed because he loved us. He thought we were great. He thought it was really cool stuff. And he put his reputation on the line to come to a show to have that match with Dark Ice, and without a doubt, that's one of the matches of the year.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it wasn't like a 30-minute thing.
Yeah.
It was what it was, but what we got from them both was like everything they did got a pop, everything was huge, and then the finish was great, and then he cut the mullet off.
Well, it's like...
He's a showman, man. He gets the scissors, he holds them up, gets a bit of a pop, then he goes... Yeah, and then he does it a second time. You can tell that this guy's a professional. He's done it. He knows how to sell something. You hold the scissors up once, you hold them up a second time even higher to get that bigger pop.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where, like, holy shit, I have a lot of respect for NC Viper, and I'm really disappointed I didn't get the chance to chat to him at the show, because he, obviously showed up for his own match, hung around a little bit, and then bailed. And that's understandable.
I think he has a lot going on.
Yeah, exactly. Like, he obviously has his own life, and that's fine. But
he's a big part of the Aboriginal community in this state. He does documentaries. He helps out with youth. He's so involved with the community. It's insane. So him to take the time.
Yeah, it's like to come down to
Saturday
backyard
afternoon to come wrestle Dark Ice.
I just want to say this, and I know you probably won't listen to it, but like I have utmost respect for somebody like that.
Me too, man. To put his rep on the line.
Yeah, not only to do that, but like for all the stuff that he's done, as you said, helping out the community, and doing all that stuff, like that is incredibly important, and he's obviously doing quite a good job.
And I made him cry with my blog on him. I wrote this big blog of.
Really? I don't know.
I can't remember what I wrote. The title of it was like like a real hero or a true hero.
Yeah.
And I really just talked about it, like, what he does and how he deserves more credit than he gets. And he said that brought a tear to this old man's eyes, And I was like, yes, excellent. Well, because of that, fucking wrestle Dark Ice.
And I mean, what I think about of NC Viper is that photo that was up on the Facebook page for ages of all of us with him and his banner. And to think, like, we probably wouldn't have thought to take a photo like that, if he wasn't there. But the fact that he was there and, like, Noel gets it on the picture.
Yeah.
And, like, we're all in there is...
And poor Delcano's got his leg up and he doesn't get to be in the photo. And we just take the photo and he's sitting right there. And we just like, yeah. And Delcano's like, why didn't you guys wheel me into the photo on a chair or something?
That is a cool part of WCWA history that shows how important we are, like, on the scene, regardless of the fact that, like, we're pro or not. A pro came to our show and a pro wrestled on our show. That is such a big deal.
Speaks volumes, really.
Yeah.
And couldn't be more proud.
Yeah, absolutely.
The next event I want to talk about on the show is before we've got to finally get to this big part of it, but me versus Johnny V. You must be pretty pumped up to see the old classic from back. There's always a classic between me and Johnny V.
It's like Stone Cold versus The Rock of XCW.
Yeah, you bring it back. And you know what I always thought, Johnny V and Aston Creed, Johnny V and Taser, whatever, that's got to happen on a Resolution at some point. So, I got to wrestle Rusty, Alex Stone, Johnny V, Brian Lowe.
Yeah.
And of course the match afterward was us in JD Flame franchise. But I've got to wrestle these top stars on a Resolution.
Yeah.
It's got to be a Resolution moment, and that was my Resolution moment. Me and Johnny V facing off. Just Mike as the special guest referee, making his final appearance in Backyard Wrestling. And what did you think of the spot where Just Mike blows Johnny V, takes his shirt off, his Revolution shirt off, he's got an EA shirt on. I go to embrace him, he kicks me in the gonads, takes it off, he's got an XCW shirt, he says, fuck you, and off goes Just Mike. His grand exit from Backyard
I didn't even know that was happening, so when, like, initially when it happens and he unveils the EA shot, I was like, holy shit, are you serious? Like, Just Mike and the Elite Alliance, no way.
Are you forgetting the fact that Elite Alliance is...
Yeah, but I'm just like, one show, like, the next match I know it's not happening, but holy shit, like, I marked out super hard.
I just wanted everyone to be like, oh man, maybe they're going to win because now they got Mike in the team.
Yeah, and I was just like, holy
shit.
But
then he turns on me and it's like, oh god.
Yeah, and then he turns on you and unveils the XCW.
You know what? I'm still counting that as a member of the Elite Alliance. He was only in the Elite Alliance for 15 seconds, but I'm counting it.
Yeah, he goes alongside as Wicked Nick James as like shortest.
He's got that accolade.
But like,
I think me and John could have been better. It could have been better.
I know you said you were disappointed with the match, and I think it was an XCW style match. It was more focused on the entertainment value.
I'll tell you what, I got distracted when everyone came around the ring and did what they did.
I remember you were saying,
and I was like, man, like. I'm losing my train of thought here because this is too distracting, and me and John are having an improv match after we both had about 8 beers.
Yeah.
No, I'm trying to like really build. I mean, it's a decent match, but I think me and John could have had the best match on the show.
Yeah.
I really do believe me and John could have had the best match on the show, just based off what we've done before and all that. But it is what it is, and I'm glad that I got to do it.
Yeah,
So,
I mean,
and it was a nice little platform for Mike to make his exit from backyard wrestling.
And if you're a backyard wrestling fan, like the fact that you get to see Aston Crude versus Johnny V in any capacity these days, like, why would you not be happy? Regardless,
with just Mike as a referee,
yeah,
that's like a little taste of the old XCW.
Yeah,
and I like that we can have 2 years in a row, a little taste of XCW.
Yeah, it still shows like till this day that XCW has very influential on the current landscape of WA backyard wrestling.
It is, because we were there before all of them were.
Mm.
And I'm not saying we laid the foundations, because ICWS are around for like 2 or 3 years and we didn't even know they existed.
Yeah.
Like, when they entered 2010, they were doing pretty good.
Yeah.
They didn't know that we existed. So we didn't lay any foundations down, but
No.
we were there before everyone, so I think we are a very important part of the history of backyard wrestling in this state. And, it's been almost like everyone in XCW, what they've done in WCWA has almost eclipsed what they've done in XCW.
Yeah, it's just...
I think John to come, what's to come is going to define his career.
Yeah.
But maybe not what he's done so far. He's just had a couple of matches here and there. But I think, Nick's backyard title reign and his run of great matches with Angelicus, etc., that's defined his run. I think your run has defined
who I am.
Defined your career, and me too. Like, I think,
I mean, I think there's a difference as well. Is and I remember I said this to you, and that was something that we maybe need to change in the booking a little bit. Was that WCWA, when I came in, lacked entertainment. Like, that was something that we always did very well in XCW, was entertainment.
No, I understand where you come from.
Like, those backstage promos.
Those were always the best parts of XCW, was the silly backstage promos, We didn't take it too seriously. And I wanted to, actually, beginning of the year, I wanted to implement, we're doing backstage promos now. So DJ rocks up to the WCWA arena, and he's looking for steel, but then he runs into AAA, and they look like they're about to hit him, and he's like, "No, guys, please, no." DJ being amazing, like selling, like being scared, and then all of a sudden they freak out and run off, and then he acts all tough, like, yeah, all right, and then he turns around and Steel's there holding a steel chair.
Yeah.
And like Steel's like, Steel gives him advice, you got to watch your back, bro. Something like that,
Yeah.
That was an idea of a promo I was going to have between Steely Dan, that team, and AAA.
Yeah.
But I've just been too busy at shows to really take the time to make people do backstage promos, but
I think that's something that we should definitely
we should implement
revisit.
it, because that's one of those things in XCW's history which was like defined the way that we produced our product.
Yeah.
And I think it will really do good for everyone. I know Mitch loves the idea, and Mitch would love to do silly backstage stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's got to become a point where we don't take it too seriously anymore.
Exactly, and it makes the product a little bit different. I mean, it was like I was saying to you earlier about current WWE product. You know that at the start of Raw, Seth Rollins or the Authority are going to come out and cut a promo, and that happens every week. And so you don't want. I don't want our product to become like that, whereas it's like, we have somebody come to the ring and cut a promo. Well, why can't they do it backstage? There's that different element.
Why can't we do that?
Yeah.
I don't know why, but, I loved commentator. Whoever's holding the camera is commentating.
Yeah.
I love that we did that in XW. Why can't we do that in WCWA?
Yeah.
It might help the footage be a bit more entertaining.
Yeah.
As much as we've said about Vaughn, you can't deny the fact he was very entertaining behind the camera.
Yeah.
He was very funny with the things that he came up with.
Yeah.
And that was really a big part of XCW. And I think, if we implement commentary behind the camera, if we implement backstage promos, just two little things that XCW did better than everyone else. I think WCW would probably do it better than everyone else.
And it would give, in a large way, a voice to WCWA.
Yeah, because it's just cold. It's just like matches going on, and
cold
people,
promos.
Whoever's watching the YouTube, they're just watching a match because they know it's happening for this reason.
Yeah.
But they're not getting that voice behind the camera saying, well, at the last show, Deacon Whalen turned on Kai Fusion, and now he's changed his name to, that person just to explain things a little bit more. I'd love to do that a bit more, but I'm not saying I'm lazy, but sometimes I'm just like, you know.
There's a lot to think. There's a lot to think about in one show, especially because we do have. I mean, even though we've lost quite a few people, we still have such a large roster and such a big card. But I think it would be the perfect filler in between matches.
Mm.
You know, we've got 4 people on the booking committee. You have 2 people making sure that the next people who are up to wrestle are getting ready and are prepared.
So while that's happening, maybe the other 2 go and get a
exactly.
Promos. Yeah. No, that would be cool. I can only imagine how entertaining it would be, like, you know, JD Flame, he's entering the WCW arena and he runs into bloody Mykonos. And, you know, maybe in the background the body spray theme song plays and Mykonos brings out a deodorant can and they start spraying, you know, just silly things like that. We've got to take things a little less seriously, I think, and just have fun.
Absolutely.
So let's continue on. Winner takes all.
Yes.
Me, you, Ryan, Dan versus the franchise and JD Flame in a handicap tag team match to end the Elite Alliance. Going into this, are you sad to see the Elite Alliance go?
A little bit, yeah. You know, it's like the end of an era, you know. Like, obviously, the EA starts with you and Alex Stone and ends with, you know, the rest of us. But what a storied history over that 2.5 years.
Yeah.
You know, to have where it started to where it ended be completely 2 different things.
And I'd love to do a timeline of the EA with me, you, Ryan.
I remember we were saying the podcast,
That would be a great timeline to do, I reckon.
Yeah, because, you know, like, I remember, you know, the EA obviously starts with you and Alex, and then Dan becomes a 3rd member to make it stable. And then, you know, you've got Ryan becomes your 2IC eventually and has that battle with Alex back and forth.
Bring in Lila as the head of security.
Exactly.
Another element in itself.
Then I become this kind of like the second wave, essentially.
You got EA. Acid. Then you got you.
Yeah.
You got Ariel coming in at some point, you know. I didn't mention that, but, you know, the segment with you and Nick was pretty good.
Yeah, and getting to bring Nick into the EA, like, just to have the first interaction between us on a Backyard Wrestling show be this stupid, like, finger poke of doom segment that, like, we get him to bring in, I thought was fun. Like, I really enjoyed it. But, I'd love to do the EA Timeline podcast because I think it'd be great to get all the, like, main contributors.
Because then Alex can give an outside point of view watching the EA when he's not part of it anymore, you know?
Yeah.
But anyway, let's get to the match.
Yes.
I just had a match with Johnny B, so I was pretty tired, so you guys pretty much held most of the weight of the match, but I think despite the lack of planning for the match just is perfect.
It was on fire, like... To put it in perspective, like, what happened beforehand was that there was a bunch of bogans, like, that lived next door to Jack that were watching from, like, their rooftop, and one of them had thrown a beer bottle after the end of your match with John, and it almost hit you in the head while you were laying in the ring. So then there was, like, a big fire up, like, Jack was like, oh, fucking, like, you know, like, smash him, and, like, everybody was kind of a bit on edge, so we went out there, and I think that aided us in fueling.
I think being on edge made that match, like, just even more than what it was going to be.
Yeah, and so that element really helped.
Plus, we had Noel going over there.
Yeah, like, Noel was, like, on his motorbike.
On his hog.
Like, I remember asking somebody, I was like, oh, what's going on? And like, oh, like, Noel rolled over there because he was going out to, like, talk to them. I'm like, fuck. Like, to put this into perspective, Noel Wallace is, like, a guy that's probably, like, 5'10", but is intimidating as fuck.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a 6'3", like, 140 kilo dude, and I would not talk shit to Noel.
Yeah, no, Noel's a badass, man. And you know what? You know what's funny? While we're discussing the match and trying to come up with our plan before the match, and Noel's going over there to deal with these guys, you know, Bonner's sitting in his car out the front.
Yeah,
just waiting for the
there was so many different elements going on.
Waiting for a text from Mike to let him know to come down to
interfere
to the house, basically.
And I love Noel as well. Like, you know, mostly props to him for letting him letting us have our events there and everything.
For sure, yeah.
But It's always funny. Like I've only spoken to him a little bit, but like every time we'd come backstage from like an EA promo, and he'd be like, "Oh, the bullies! Like, what have the bullies done now?"
Because you and Ryan were the bullies.
Yeah, it's so good. But the match itself, like, holy shit, defining moment of my career, I think, up until this point.
Yeah, and obviously the moment of the match is when the lights go out.
Yeah.
And, you know, we're standing there in the ring, and
it's like perfect, you know, storyline execution. You know, we all hit our finishers. We've laid them out. Me and Aston turn to each other. We high five and hug. We're like, yes, it's done. Boom. As soon as we say it's done, lights go out. And then
no one knows what's going on.
Yeah, you and me are both like, what the fuck's going on? Like,
someone turn on the fucking lights.
Yeah, and then
dum dum dum.
Yeah.
Dum, dum, dum,
and it's great because we both react first, so we're both like, no, this is not happening.
Yeah.
And like, then, you know, obviously Diffuser comes out, and holy shit, like,
just him standing there at the entranceway is just like that. Gets the goosebumps on the arms,
and the fact that
the shivers down the spine, and I'm getting them right now. The shivers down the spine. Oh my god! Like for a second there, you forget that you're performing, and it feels like it's real.
And you know, like takes out Ryan, takes out Dan, takes out Nick. You know, just lays these guys out. And it's
funny the way that it's like the smallest guy goes first, then the next smallest guy goes next, and then the next smallest guy, then it's like me and you, and I'm like, get him.
And then I just loved that whole segment. It seems stupid because obviously, like in real life, why don't we just like 5v1 bum rush?
Yeah, why don't we all go at the same time? Of course, it's going to have to be one.
But yeah, exactly. It's
that's storytelling. That's how you build it up. You build up the next part. Okay, now we know Nick Harry was coming after him. Chokeslam.
So you send Ryan, the hound of the EA, and he gets laid out. And you send Dan, like the cannibal, sadistic part of the EA. He gets laid out. You send Nick, like the legend, gets laid out. You send me, the bruiser, laid out. Can't beat down Diffuser.
Every single wall of protection that was in front of me is now gone. And now it's me and him. And now I'm crying. I've made myself cry. Yeah. Please, Diffuser, don't do this. Oh my god, please. What are you doing here? No, Diffuser, no! No!
And then he kills you. Just like kills you.
The chokeslam destroyed me. But is it nice after all these years you get a Samoan drop from Bonner?
It's funny because I love watching the video back and hear the collective gasp of the audience, because up until this point I haven't taken a slam bump.
No one's been able to pick you up.
Yeah, nobody's picked me up. Like, there's people that can, but nobody has. So Diffuser comes in, stumbles a little bit trying to pick me up, and then just deadlifts me up, and Samoan drops in. Everybody's like, holy shit.
Yeah.
And I'm just laid out. Like, that's, you know, one Samoan drop, like, completely floors me.
Well, the initial plan was that he was just supposed to chokeslam everyone.
Yeah.
I think he just went into business for himself and decided, I've got this opportunity, I'm going to do a bunch of different things.
Yeah, and I thought...
So he gave Dan a powerbomb.
Yeah.
Which was, like, the biggest powerbomb I've ever seen.
And the big boot, where he just, like, lays his boot into Dan's face.
Yeah,
like
Dan just runs right into the bottom of Bonner's fucking boot.
Yeah.
His bloody reef walkers.
Yeah.
Those bloody reef walkers. He's always wearing the fucking reef walkers.
So
and then it gives you the Samoan instead of a chokeslam, which probably would have looked better.
Yeah, but in saying that, like, thank you, Bonner, and I know you probably aren't listening to this, but thank you for showing up and doing that, because it, like, added the best tasting icing on the best tasting cake.
And remember when I pitched the idea to you guys?
Yeah.
I was like, I've spoke to him. He's all in.
Yeah.
He's like, he's happy that he doesn't have to have a match. He can just come out, hit the moves, have the big moment, put over the guys who've won the match, and then he walks off. And then, like a phantom in the night, he walks off. He's got to go. So he goes straight to the car and leaves.
Yeah.
And I think maybe we got to see him.
Yeah, we did.
For a second, and then he was off. And then everyone else who came backstage to say hello, he was already gone.
Yeah.
and it's like it was this phantom, you
Yeah.
know? And that's what I think made it even more special, was like,
He was gone before.
he was there, he was gone,
Yeah.
and now we didn't even get to see him, you know?
I remember, I think, talking to him after it had happened. We all went backstage, like, after it happened, and he was like, yeah, I'm going. And I was just like, look, man, thank you. Like, that's all you can say. And
Yeah.
that short amount of time is thank you.
Yeah.
Like, he's a guy who has one kid and a kid on the way, works a full-time job. He has a life.
He's like the treasurer of a cricket club.
Yeah,
like, he's got a lot going on.
He's heading into middle-aged man territory.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, what did you do this weekend? He's like, oh, what did you do this weekend? Oh, I went out and pissed on Friday, then hung out with some mates on Saturday. What about you? Oh, yeah, today I got on the roof and cleaned out the gutters and
went to bed, Bath and Beyond with the missus. Like,
yeah,
it's just like, and that's awesome.
That's the stage of life he's at now, and the fact that he could take, an hour out of his time to come down and do that segment when he knew it meant a lot to me, and I was like, look, I'm not asking to wrestle a match, but please come and be part of this storyline and help us end this story
the way it should be ended.
The way, there's only one way.
Yeah.
Could we have just had the franchise beat us? Sure. But it just would have been another match. So to make it special, we got that one appearance from Diffuser.
And what makes me feel a little bit personally better about myself, although I feel like shit for the other guys, is everybody stuck around to see the end of the EA versus franchise.
I hate that a lot of people left afterward.
Yeah.
Because we had a couple really good matches coming after that, which was Rex and Antilochus and the main event.
But it speaks a lot to the quality of the caliber of the match that we put on and the way it ended. And on a selfish level, like, that makes me feel awesome.
In a way, it almost felt like people thought of this as the main event.
Yeah.
Which kind of sucks, because Alex's Mykonos was a very important match.
Yeah.
Rex and Antilochus was very important because they're two originals, Resolution 3, their paths have crossed now, it's a big match.
And they put on one hell of a brutal
great match, So anyway, that's the end of the Elite Alliance. So any lasting reflections on your time in the Elite Alliance?
Yeah, I am super appreciative of the fact that I got to be involved with the Elite Alliance. Like, I talked about earlier in the earlier podcast, career-defining moments for me, teaming with O-Factor, feuding with John, feuding with Les. I still hadn't really had that big moment. I think the Elite Alliance gave me a lot of, big moments.
It gave you that platform.
Yeah, exactly. And made me seem like a much bigger deal than I ever would have been in XCW, because you've got this guy has a history. This guy has, title backings behind him. Granted, not a lot, but I'm still a name that people will recognize from XCW, and so to bring that to WZWA and use that as a platform to launch off of, the Elite Alliance was amazing. I really love being a part of it.
Excellent. Well, Blade, you know what? I wasn't planning on this, but I think we might end this part here because we're just hitting 2 hours.
Okay.
An hour 57.
Jesus.
But I think we'll end off with the 2015 portion of your career, and then we'll get into the Q&A all in one segment, so there'll be a part 4.
Brilliant.
So thank you for listening to the GBYWN podcast. That was almost all of Blade Shaw's career in the WZWA. We got in depth on certain subjects, so this has gone nearly 2 hours. So thank you for listening, and we will be with you next time for part 4 with Blade Shaw. Thank you for listening.